All right, welcome back. This is it, the final session on our CP1 acronyms. We've covered so much ground, and today we are tackling the last 7. This is the home stretch, so let's really focus and make these last ones stick for good.
So here's what's on the docket. We're going to kick things off by digging into why we even do these calculations. Then we'll dive deep into the rules of scheme disclosure. After that, we'll look at capital as the ultimate financial safety net, and we'll wrap it all up with the story that surplus analysis really tells us. Let's get right into it.
You know, that question is the perfect setup for our first acronym. Think about it. When an actuary looks at a scheme, they're basically a financial doctor, and they have to run a whole battery of tests for some very specific reasons. This brings us right to Mnemonics. So why are we doing all this number crunching? Well, the reasons are all captured by Mnemonics. We calculate provisions for potential benefit improvements for the accounts and reports to figure out discontinuance benefits during mergers and acquisitions, to see if there's an excess of assets over liabilities for disclosure information to help shape the investment strategy for contribution setting, and of course, for those statutory solvency reports.
Okay, here's how you're going to lock this one in. I want you to picture this elite team of specialist doctors. Maybe they're in sharp suits, and they're called the bad medics. They've been brought in to give a full physical to a benefit scheme. They are checking every single vital sign. So let's do a quick fire recap. What are the bad medics checking? That's benefits, accounts, discontinuance, mergers, excess disclosure, investment, contributions, and statutory reports.
So once you've done all the calculations, you have to communicate. And let's be real, a vague promise is basically no promise at all. In the world of benefit schemes, clarity is absolutely everything, which brings us to what a scribe needs to jot down for every single member.
Okay, so scribe spells out the essential info that has to be disclosed to scheme members. That is, the S, strategy for investment, the C, contribution obligations, the R, risks involved, what their entitlement is upon insolvency, their specific benefit entitlements, and of course any expense charges they might be facing.
To really get this one stuck in your head, picture a medieval scribe, with a quill pen hunched over this big, heavy wooden desk. He's meticulously drafting a scroll for a new member, and his whole job is to make sure every single point is crystal clear. What's the scribe writing down? He's detailing the strategy, contributions, risks, insolvency, benefits, and expenses.
Right, so we know what needs to be disclosed, but, the timing, that's just as crucial. A well-timed bit of information is invaluable. A poorly timed one is, well, it's pretty much useless. So the big question is, when does this info have to be given?
Well, the answer comes at a price. Information has to be disclosed at payment commencement, upon request from a member, at regular intervals, in combination with other events, and upon entry into the scheme.
I love this mnemonic because it's so direct. Just think to yourself, every piece of information has its price, and that price is the moment it's handed over. So what's the price? Payment commencement, request, intervals, combination, and entry. Super simple, super effective.
Okay, let's shift gears from member communication to the really formal accounts. Now, these documents can be incredibly dense, super complex. So how do we make sure that the most important facts are lit up and not just lost in the darkness? We look for the dim claims.
Okay, this one breaks down all the key things you have to disclose in the formula accounts. We need to see the director's pension costs, the investment return for the year, any membership movements, the change in surplus or deficit, the liabilities that are accruing, all the assumptions that were used, any increase in past service liabilities, the method of calculation, and of course the final surplus or deficit.
For this one, let's use a spatial memory cue. Imagine you are standing in a totally dark room. It represents the complexity of the accounts. And then, all of a sudden, shafts of light start to appear. These are dim claims of light. The first one illuminates the director's costs. Another one hits an investment return chart on the wall. A third reveals the membership movements. This keeps going until the final, brightest beam of light reveals the surplus or deficit figure, stamped right on the floor in front of you. That's dim claims.
So we've talked about what to disclose, when to disclose, and where to disclose. But let's take a step back and ask why. What is the fundamental point of all this transparency? Well, the answer simmers just beneath the surface of all these rules and regulations.
Okay, disclosure is so critical because it makes sure the sponsor is aware of the financial significance. It allows informed decisions to be made by everybody involved. It helps make sure mis-selling is avoided. It manages the expectations of members, which is huge. It encourages take-up of the scheme. It's a massive regulatory requirement. And at the end of the day, the security of the whole scheme is improved.
To remember this one, I want you to imagine these 7 reasons are all ingredients in a pot, just gently simmering on a stove. See, the purpose of disclosure isn't some big, loud, dramatic event. It's this deep, foundational concept. So just let it simmer in your mind. Let's recap. It makes the sponsor aware, enables informed decisions, avoids mis-selling, manages expectations, encourages take-up, fulfills regulatory needs, and improves security.
The answer, of course, is capital. It's the buffer. It's the safety net. It is the very foundation of financial strength. But why exactly do providers need to hold it? The answer is a big, comfy reg cushion.
Now, this is a big one, but the mnemonic is a lifesaver. Providers need capital as a regulatory requirement to cover the expenses of new products and so that guarantees can be offered. It helps with cash flow management, and it acts as a cushion for unexpected events. It's used to smooth out profits, to help demonstrate financial strength, to provide investment freedom, to go after opportunities like mergers, and to finance new business strain. And this perfectly illustrates the power of chunking. Just break reg cushion into 2 simple parts. First up, you've got reg. Think of these as the hard-edged rules and the upfront costs. Regulatory, expenses, guarantees. Then you have the soft cushion. This is all the padding that gives you comfort and flexibility. Cash flow, unexpected events, smooth profit, help with strength, investment freedom, opportunities, and new business. So just think, rules, then padding, reg cushion.
And that brings us to our very last acronym. You know, getting that final surplus figure isn't the end of the road. It's just the beginning of the story. You have a number, but what does it actually mean? Why isn't it what you expected? The real job of an actuary is to understand the divergence.
We analyze surplus to show the divergence between what actually happened and what we expected, to provide information to management, to verify that the total variance is the sum of all its little parts, for experience monitoring, to reconcile values from one year to the next, to group sources into recurring or one-off items, to provide data for executive remuneration, to show the impact of new business strain, and so crucially, as a check on our assumptions and an extra check on our data.
And the brilliant thing here is that the word itself tells you the whole story. Surplus analysis is all about explaining the divergence. Use it to provide information and to verify your work. It helps you monitor experience and reconcile your values. And really, at its core, it's about doing a final, crucial check and an extra check on everything you've done. That's divergence.
And with that, we've done it. We've covered the final set of acronyms for CP1. You now have a complete toolkit of memory aids to pull from. Thanks so much for joining me for this series. You have really put in the work. Now go out there and smash it. All the very best in your exams.